I was planning to take a little bit of time before doing a fan review, and then something came out that I just have to talk about. Let's get into it. Well, Steamies, this is my first fan review video. And what a video that we are starting out with. We are starting out with the original story, No Happy Ending, a Thomas and Friends psychological horror story by the channel Little Owl. Before I go any further, I will say go and subscribe to Little Owl's channel, if not for anything else, then specifically this story. So this is the synopsis of No Happy Ending. After his accident, the number one engine of the Culdee Fell railway, Godred, faces two of his greatest enemies in the wait to be given a second chance: boredom and his own sanity, as he feels himself getting smaller and smaller. A little note from Little Owl. Well, what was supposed to be a Halloween special has turned out to be one of my biggest projects to date, and one that I am most proud of. I started writing this baby in January 2022 and finished writing in June of the same year. So this is going to be a spoiler heavy review. If you haven't watched it, you have my permission to go and watch it just now. The link will be in the description, but on the basis that you come back to this channel for the rest of the review, please. Okay, spoiler alert over in 3, 2, 1. Okay, the best way that I can describe No Happy Ending is a Shakespearean tragedy of the Railway series universe. When he says that this gets dark, it gets dark, my friends. Oh my goodness. I actually had nightmares after listening to this. Also, another note, don't listen to this at 9:45 at night when you're in your bed about to go to sleep. I'm not saying this in a bad way, far from it, because the story was so good. The Railway series has always been a dark subject matter. We've always said that it's not just for kids, it's for adults as well. And boy, do they run with this. Especially since they have to put a 15 plus rating in the title before you click on the video. So as stated, the episode is about Godred, the number one engine who infamously fell down the mountain and was cannibalized for his parts so that other engines could use them. In the Railway series book, we don't find out if the story is true or not. This fanfiction story resoundingly answers that question. This could be a one-man or one-engine show at an arts festival. The writing is very Shakespearean in the way that it's done. General Hardly Amused voices Godred, and he has such a way with words. His natural iambic pentameter style really suits with the character of Godred. You feel every raw emotion as it goes through. The only criticism that I have is that when it gets too loud or there's pure emotion, like a scream, it's too close to the mic, so the noise is distorted. That's something that if you're not used to working with a mic, that I can kind of let slide, because you still have to figure out when to take a step back when you're using a louder tone and when to move forward when you're speaking softer. But in a way, it's also really good because it adds to that visceral nature of the piece. It's amazing how a story that doesn't involve any movement and it's just in one setting can take you on such a roller coaster ride of emotions. As Little Owl has stated, before you start claiming that I'm some kind of tortured artist, I've always found it fascinating about what would be going through an engine's mind after being trapped there for so long. Surely being bored for that long, on top of having parts of your body cannibalized, must do some unpleasant and insane things to your psyche. It really did. This piece is very long. It's 47 minutes. But it does not feel like it because it does not let up for a second. It's brutal, it's beautiful, it's tragic, it's optimistic, it's depressing, and weirdly surreal all at once. This is a rabbit hole that I'm very surprised that Little Owl was able to go down and probably not have severe psychological trauma when writing it. Again, I say it all in a positive way because the writing is so good. The character of Godred, he has nailed it to a T. We listen to his journey, as cocky and arrogant from when he's had his accident to going completely mad, being stuck there for so long and just seeing parts of him being taken away and given to other engines. Engines that he doesn't even know, engines that he doesn't even see sometimes. The way I equate this story is imagining what would happen if you had signed an organ donor card and then when they think you've died, you're not actually dead, you're in a coma, and you can feel your organs being removed and given to somebody else. That's kind of how I equate this story. It's like the Saw of the Railway series. I had other channels that I was going to review to start my fanfiction review series before this, and then a fellow member of the Thomas fan community shared it and said, "You have to watch this, it is so good." And I did, and it instantly jumped to the front of the queue. Tells you exactly how good this is. If I had to give this a rating, I would give No Happy Ending a 9 out of 10. Solid, strong, very well written, beautifully performed. The only issues that I had were a couple of editing issues. Some lines were repeated, some of the voiceover volumes were a little bit off, and the aforementioned distortion when screaming into the mic. But those are the only issues that I have, because this is truly a work of art. Honestly, Little Owl, if you are watching, try and bring this to the Edinburgh Fringe. Adapt the story slightly in making it, about a man who is being essentially cannibalized for his body parts to give to other patients. And you've got a stage show right there. I would seriously inquire about trying to get this to the Edinburgh Fringe or any festival of the arts. A mature, gritty, hard-hitting concept that older Thomas and Friends fans and older Railway series fans will highly enjoy. It really makes me wish they still did the live shows, because this would knock it right out of the park. And the twist ending, beautiful. Worth sticking around for. Little suggestion that I'm going to make, I want to see you try and attempt a Henry at Crewe style story. But the popular fan theory that the Henry that returned from Crewe is an entirely different engine from the Henry that went to Crewe, and that the original Henry was just left behind. Try creating something like that in a similar vein, because I really, really think you could pull it off. If you're interested, I do have some ideas of a couple of twists around it. Again, link for this episode is in the description. Please check it out. Please give Little Owl a sub so he can keep making great content like this. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep on chugging.